Welcome to TradeBlocked, the Dynasty Fantasy Trade Show on Club Fantasy FFL. We're here to break down trade strategies and moves you should make for your Dynasty team to take them to the next level. Tonight, we're diving into one of the season's rising stars, Jayden Reed of the Green Bay Packers. What does his role look like? What is his potential? What is his long-term value? Tonight, let's find out. Welcome to TradeBlocked right here on Club Fantasy FFL, the premier Dynasty Trade Show. I am your host tonight, standing in for our boy Dusty, who had to take the night off. That's good. That's fine. We got our boy Hoov. We got our boy Joel. HoovTube over there on Twitter at the Joel Wirth. How we doing, fellas? How we doing?
Awesome. That's quite the excitement. I'm poking through my shirt right now, probably. Right? It's just that's an intro right there, baby.
Gotta show a little love. Coming over from Monday, get to hang out at night. Usually we do the Monday show. I got coffee. Now I get to hang out at night on Club Fantasy FFL. It's a little bit different. Now I know how Joe feels on Wednesdays.
You can drink rum chata with coffee, or you can drink rum chata at night. So
this is PG. This is PG-13. So we calm down.
I didn't get the memo. Anyone that watches this show knows that this is anything but. Anything but.
But Joel, how we doing, sir?
Awesome. I gotta hit my mute on my YouTube here. Good.
He's watching highlights before. He wants to make sure he knows the player.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer over here.
Just saying hi to the people in the chat. But doing good. We're gonna talk about Jayden Reed. We got some Packer action going on, so can't beat that with a stick.
Can't beat it with a stick. Well, before we get into there, Hoov, tell us about Dynasty Nerds.
Oh, Dynasty Nerds, my favorite. Well, I can't show favoritism, but they are definitely top two of my favorite partners here over at Club Fantasy. So I should probably tell you all about it. Do you want to take your Dynasty teams to a championship? Do you want to stack championships for years to come? Then you need to hear all about Club Fantasy's newest partner, Dynasty Nerds. Dynasty Nerds is one of the most trusted sources for both Dynasty advice and Dynasty tools. Their Nerd Score helps identify rookies with high ceilings and longevity to keep you in contention for years. What you're looking for is film on incoming rookies, then look no further than their all-22 film room. They even have a Dynasty trade calculator that can help you find values throughout the season and better understand how to value players across an ever-changing landscape. And these are just a few of the tools that they offer. Just head to dynastynerds.com to see for yourself. Choose from one of their subscription plans, and at checkout, enter code CLUBFANTASY to save 15% off of your subscription. Once again, go to dynastynerds.com and use promo code CLUBFANTASY to get 15% off. I aced that one. That's probably the best one I've gotten so far, and we're going to rock that thing. But right down below, dynastynerds.com.
Yeah, beautiful partnership. Beautiful read by you. Beautiful read. This may have been the best one you have done. So maybe we should just clip that and put that in.
I read pretty good.
Again. Yeah. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe on our YouTube channel or whichever platform you may be listening on. I will tell you this. We are the trade show. So if you want to start sick questions, we will answer them, but they will be put to the end. If you want to get your question answered quicker than anybody else, you can jump to the front of the line with the super chat option. Tonight, let's get into some news before we get into Jayden Reed. Somewhat of a big trade, maybe. Deontay Johnson gets traded to the Ravens. I do want to ask you guys, Deontay Johnson's 28 years old, wide receiver 34 on the year. Got a little injury issue going on right now. Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews. Does this move Deontay Johnson to the Ravens hurt any one of them? I'll start with you, Hoov.
It hurts me the most. That's the first thing that comes to mind. I am devastated right now. I just wanted Zay Flowers to get at least one wide receiver one finish. Just one. But no, that's my fate. That's my fate this season. But I wrote about this plenty of times in my article for Optimus Storyline Storytime, and I said, you never knew whether it was going to be Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely any given week, but you knew it was going to be Zay Flowers in that wide receiver room. And now I can't say that because now Deontay Johnson is basically the Mark Andrews in that room, and Zay Flowers is the Isaiah Likely, a young, promising talent that probably will be the one in that offense when they fully develop. But until then, they're probably looking at the 2 spot right now, which kills me. And even Deontay, I love Deontay. He's got all the talent in the world, but with probably like 4 targets a game, he's probably looking at, I don't know what we're going to get out of him.
Joel?
This makes me wonder what the league thinks of Deontay Johnson. I mean, the Ravens gave up absolutely nothing to get him. I mean, Carolina couldn't get him out of there fast enough. I don't think this helps him at all. If anything, it maybe helps Lamar Jackson, but he really didn't need any help. So I can't see this being good for his value. It's a team that doesn't want to throw the ball a lot. They only have to when they get into bad game scripts. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this for his value at all. I'd be trying to move off if I could. If there's somebody who thinks just the change of scenery is going to be good for him and a better quarterback, pitch him while you can.
Yeah, I think the trade itself makes more sense NFL than it does for fantasy. It truly doesn't move the needle for me. But I guess my question would be: they gave up a 5th, got Deontay in a 7th, or did Deontay in a 6th for a 5th round? I mean, okay, big loss for the Ravens. But the biggest question for me is, if that's all they had to pay, why in the hell did the Texans, the Bucs, the 49ers, I mean, how could none of those teams who we all know desperately need a wide receiver at this point not get into this conversation? When you look at Baltimore, though, look, they're the 237 pass attempts on the year, 19th in the league. 19th. They're not a pass team. They're absolutely a run-first team. They're 260 rush attempts, second only behind the 49ers. So, to me, this does not move the needle when it comes to fantasy.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, what does the league think of this guy? A lot of teams need receiver, and none of them were willing to pay that price. I don't think he's held in very high regard around the league.
The only thing I think that people should keep in mind, and it's kind of the same mindset that I have with DeAndre Hopkins with going into Kansas City. Maybe I'm a little more optimistic about Hopkins than I am about Johnson, but you make very good points that in a normal year, I probably would be agreeing with you 100% that I'm probably just going to sell him and have that be someone else's problem. But the more and more the season goes on, the more and more like high-end fantasy valuable wide receivers we're losing week by week. We just lost Stephon Diggs for the season. We just lost however many before then. And so names are starting to get crossed off the list, and Deontay Johnson might be like making his way up just by process of elimination. So that might be something to keep in mind. Is it great advice to keep in mind just in case everyone else gets hurt? No, but it is something that in this year alone, I think people should keep that in the back of their mind when trying to trade him.
Yeah, I think you got to remember that Deontay's 28 years old too. But to your point, you've only got roughly 6 weeks left or so of the fantasy season for this year. But you got to remember that Baltimore also has that week 14 bye, right? Mm-hmm. And for most leagues, we don't even start the playoffs until week 15. So you get 15, 16, 17. If you're needing somebody in that week 14, you can't even play the guy.
Right.
So just a couple things to keep in mind. Again, dynasty value, I don't think it hurts Zay very much in dynasty, but that we'll see what that's going to be. I think the Ravens as a whole, as being a run team, is the issue, right?
I think I was sad about this for like 10 seconds until I realized, oh my God, the value for Zay Flowers has dropped even more. So I should
go buy.
So I can go buy. Yeah, that's right. So that was my biggest takeaway is it's time to buy Zay Flowers. So for 2025, if you're looking for the future, you're not contending, go buy Zay Flowers.
Joe, we had one more bit of news come out a little while ago. That was Anthony Richardson getting benched. 22 years old, QB2, second year in the league. He's only played about 9 games total, including the 4 or 5 games he's played this year. Does he have any dynasty value left, Joel?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't. This is a team that, I mean, this decision makes no sense, right? This is an Irsay move all the way. They're not going to win anything. They're not. It's not a good team. Their defense is terrible. So why are you stalling this guy's development? I mean, this guy needs reps more than anything. So what's the point of this? I think this is just a terrible organizational decision. And you're right. I mean, he only played 4 games last year. He left 2 of them early. He's been hurt. He's been missed a game this year. Yeah, the guy needs reps. He needs to play. This is how bad teams stay bad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. What is your take on Anthony Richardson and his dynasty value, if he's got any left for you?
I think there's a lot of people out there that they might be very glum right now, but they should be very happy, and they should go out there and celebrate, and they should know that they were right, and that Anthony Richardson really is the second Justin Fields. It's that everyone thought he was a starting quarterback, but in reality, he's a backup. And I say that as someone very disappointed, because I thought Anthony Richardson probably was going into the draft. There was so many reasons to not like Anthony Richardson, but knowing the Panthers franchise and how they know to build around a quarterback, I thought Anthony Richardson was probably the best option at 1 if they were going to play it. They knew that they had to play a high upside with the first overall pick, and the safe pick was probably CJ Stroud. They wanted more accuracy, so they went with Bryce Young. But in reality, I probably would have went with more athleticism, and I would have went with Anthony Richardson first overall. So I thought at one point he should have been the first overall in the draft. And then going into this year, everyone was so big on him, and I was starting to get in on him. And then I started talking to smart people here at Club Fantasy, and they all told me, "Hey, take it down a peg," aka Josh and Ryan. They had told me, take it down a peg. And I thought, as excited I am about Adonai Mitchell and knowing Alec Pierce could be something, and just Josh Downs and Michael Pittman, what he was, I knew they had the weapons, but I also knew that expecting a lot this year was going to be a problem. And he looks a lot worse than what I expected. Coming into this year, I had tempered expectations, and I didn't temper them this much, and that's very eye-opening. I said this as a joke a while back, and now I kind of feel like I brought it to fruition. But it's like, it seems like the Colts and the Giants are kind of racing for Arch Manning, and now it seems like they really are. It's like they're waiting for 2026. Who can get the next Manning in building? And I hate that that's a reality. Maybe Anthony Richardson gets traded this offseason. Maybe a team like the Raiders comes in and tries to give him a shot. I don't know, but I'm disappointed, to say the least.
Don't put that juju out there. That's not nice. That's not nice. Carolina is bound for a Manning, right? So
Carolina's bound for something.
That's bad juju as well. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put that out there. We are going to get to a couple of chat questions real quick. If you have questions, please put those in there. We'll start off with DK here. PPR, Cup, Hall, Dell for Gibbs, BTJ, and Garrett Wilson. We'll start with you, Joel.
Cup, Hall, and Dell for Gibbs, BTJ, and Garrett Wilson. So you cross off Hall and Gibbs, Dell and Cup for BTJ and Garrett Wilson. I want the Gibbs, BTJ, Garrett Wilson side. Not close.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be close to this. How BTJ, I knew where you were going.
I love BTJ. I love BTJ, but I wouldn't discount the first side at all. I mean, Cup coming back. Dell is now the wide receiver 1 in Houston with Collins and now Diggs both out for the rest of the season. Breece Hall, still a top five running back. There's a lot of worries about Braylon Allen, and I'm one of those people that's very worried, but I think that I would have the slight nod on the first side, very slightly, just because I think Dell could be a wide receiver 1, where I think Adams is probably the 1 the rest of the year in New York. So I'll go to the first side.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Joel here, and the reason being is because of Gibbs. I think the question mark out of the Jets backfield. And you could sit there and say that Adams is the one all day long. Garrett Wilson is the one that's getting the valuable touches. And of course, BTJ with Kurt being down, BTJ, which I am not a fan of. As long as he can catch the ball, he's gonna be viable. And I just think Gibbs is just gonna end up being the overall RB1. So I would lean.
I'm just so worried. I'm just so worried about Montgomery. I think Montgomery is so underrated, and he eats in so. Huh? He just
they both score at the same time.
Yeah,
and
when they play together, they both score. I mean,
here's the problem. Here's a lot of people that the thing that a lot of people don't look at is when you're looking at Jared Goff, look at what he's done outside of week 1 and week 2. He hasn't had 25 passing attempts in a single game outside of those 2 weeks. It's been the David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, here, let me hold your hand and we'll walk to the end zone by ourselves thing.
I'm not saying that they both can't be fantasy relevant. I think that if it came to a slight nod where it was even with this trade right here, and Dell and BTJ are both going to get a bump from their wide receiver 1 in that offense being out the rest of the year, and then Gibbs could finish as RB1, and I agree to that. Hall's not going to be like too far off from him, in my opinion. Yeah. And then between Kupp and Garrett Wilson, like that's Kupp hands down. So like that's where I favor it a little bit just because of it. But you guys make very good points that Gibbs is the guy to have this season at running back.
I will throw one more point at you, and we'll get off of this one. If you got a rebuttal, that's fine. I will tell you that Nico Collins is the wide receiver 1 when he walks back in the door.
Oh, Dan, there's no argument there. I mean, Sexy down there, he called him wide receiver 6. So, and that's not even a hot take right now, looking back at it. So, yeah, I have no argument out of that at all.
Drew hit us up on Twitter earlier. Appreciate you doing that. Dropping a couple questions or a couple trades for us there. He does have another one. This is a redraft one, guys. Jalen Hurts for David Montgomery, Rachaad White, Jayden Reed. Start with you, Hoov.
Well, I already saw this White for Reed one earlier, and I was just like, what? Like, that's crazy. But Jayden Reed easily in this one. And then in a redraft, I think that I'd kind of want to know, like, actually, I don't think so. I think I'd go David Montgomery regardless, just because I really do believe in Dave Montgomery. He's a great running back option that you can have this year. And I'm assuming that if you're making this trade, it's probably like a 1 QB league. And so
I think he said on Twitter he had, I believe it was Jayden Daniels was his backline. So
then you're fine. I've been actually kind of thinking of a trade very similar. I have a roster with Jayden Daniels and Kyler Murray, and I was trying to trade Kyler for someone similar around the same range. So I could be down with David Montgomery for sure.
Joel?
Yeah, getting Reed for White is a smash. I would argue I would trade. I mean, maybe you couldn't, but I would have traded Daniels for Montgomery and kept Hurts. I mean, Hurts is just we're seeing the touchdown upside from Hurts. I think there's a very real chance that he's the QB1, and it's not close this year. And we've seen some fragility from Jayden Daniels already. So if you could have made that deal, I would have preferred to do that. But yeah, I mean, Dave Montgomery's killing it. The entire Lions offense is killing it. So yeah, if you needed to get off of one of those quarterbacks, then I'm okay with that as a return.
Yeah, I like your thought process there because I wouldn't, especially since it's redraft, go ahead and get Daniels in there instead of Hurts, because here's the other reason. Hurts has already had his bye week. Daniels' bye week, again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, is week 14. So that might be something to potentially look at there, Drew.
Great advice. Great advice, Gator.
Firefighter 1526 says, what's up, guys? I got offered Jayden Daniels for Malik Neighbors. He already has Lamar. I have Lamar already, and I have Cedric Tillman, DK Metcalf, MHJ, DeAndre Hopkins, Tank Dell on my bench at wide receiver. Should I do it since Lamar is off week 14? This is exactly what I'm saying now. We're talking about week 14s.
So is Daniels.
Well, we're already planning on being in the playoffs. So here's my question. Firefighter, for you, what does your record look like right now? Is this going to be a team that we're going to have to fight for week 14 to get in, or are we going to be locked in, whether that's a 1 seed or a 5 seed? Because that might make a difference as well. What are you guys' thoughts? Let's start with you. Well, let's start
7-1. They're 7-1.
7-1. He's 7-1. So I'm not worried about a week 14 bye here, unless week 14 is the start of your playoffs.
No, I'm not really worried about this at all.
Well,
I mean,
Daniels and Lamar have the same bye week. They're both week 14. So
No.
I guess I don't understand. How is that helping you in the week 14 bye?
No. Oh my goodness, they do.
so yeah, I wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
I mean, the value is right, but I think that's where they might be even trying to pull a fast one on you, not like for you not looking at the bye weeks and then you
Yeah.
being the first seed, and you have no quarterbacks first round of the playoffs. That they could be trying to do that, pull a fast one on you. Don't let them do it because we got your back, Jack.
Yeah. So firefighter, you're looking at a quarterback that also has the same bye week as the current quarterback that you're worried about having in week 14. So yeah, I think that's a quick answer. No, we're not doing that one. Jonathan Wright has got Pittman, Mooney, Moore, Reed, Wandell, Higgins. If he plays, who should I start week 9? Okay. So instead of doing who we're going to start because we're still only on Tuesday, let's rank these guys in the order of which you play them.
You want to go first, or what do you want?
Sure. How many do you need to start?
You didn't put that in there, so that's why I say let's rank them on how which ones we would start in what order.
Higgins is one for me right now.
I don't think Higgins is playing, so I'm going to leave him out for now.
If he's hurt,
I'm going to say DJ Moore, Jayden Reed, Pittman, Mooney. Dallas is a really run funnel offense, so I don't want to start pass catchers against Dallas unless they're elite. Wandale's a secondary thought. He's not even in the conversation here.
Stop it. That's such hater shit. I'm so sick of Wandale Robinson hate, man. He's so good. Stop it. It's so.
How many touchdowns
gross.
does he have?
Stop it. That's just gross. Why do you gotta spin narratives when people are having a good thing going for them? That's hater shit. Okay.
What's crazy is he's only got one less than Malik, so it's not like it's a huge deal, right?
That's true.
Tell him.
In 2 more games, though.
Tell him again.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
So to answer the question, I'd say probably Higgins if he's available. That's probably where I'd lean. Dobbs is really making his way. So I'm a little more hesitant on Reed, but he is the wide receiver 1 or 2, and he's got the most upside. He's probably the most valuable boom bust player, and we'll talk more about that later for Reed. But I think I'd still take the upside of Reed over Moore right now. So I'd probably go Higgins, Reed, Moore.
I think the one thing you need to remember is you're going to have Malik Willis at quarterback for the Packers this week, more than likely.
I don't know. I think there's a pretty good chance Love plays.
I mean, okay, but we have to plan for the worst case.
No, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
So worst case scenario is Higgins doesn't play. Malik Willis does play. And so then I'd probably say more Wandale, Mooney in that sense.
So
I would argue that if Willis plays, it's better for Reed because he doesn't look at any other receivers. He doesn't look at Watson. He doesn't look at Dobbs. He doesn't look at Wicks. It's Reed and Jacobs, and that's the entire offense, and Kraft. But, I mean, Willis doesn't look at any other receivers when he's playing. So I think that would actually be better for Reed.
I'll take that bet.
And he smoked Detroit in that Thanksgiving game last year. So I think this is a very good matchup for him.
So
does Pittman enter the conversation at all with Joe Flacco?
No, trade Pittman to Pittsburgh and get it over with. I'm so tired of saying it. Just do it. It makes so much sense. Just do it.
Is Jonathan picking up Tillman or Downs this week?
Downs for sure.
Downs, yeah.
I picked Tillman's over last week, but yeah, I picked Tillman's over last week, and that actually was one of the ones that hit surprisingly last week. But dude, it was a terrible week for me last week. Yeah, but I was right about Tillman, so that's cool. And but Downs is the answer for sure.
Jonathan,
what's up, Wendy?
I want to know, Dell is available. Anything there?
Yeah, talent.
I'm not as high on him as Hoov is, but yeah, you got to pick him up.
I mean, if if the question is he's available on waivers, I mean we're smashing that, right?
Yeah,
right
I'd rather him have on a team than Wandale for sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's yeah. I saw that and I was a little confused there. So yeah.
You wouldn't rather have Dell than Wandale Robinson? Come on, dude.
No,
come on.
Yes. If you want me to speak the devil's
end of discussion. End of discussion.
But you're comparing like apples to like good but not great apples, like, you know, so that's my comparison. So apples and not but great apples. But yeah, we got some good apple. We got a good apple we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, let's move back over to Jayden Reed, who is the star athlete of the night. Hoov, what is his current dynasty value?
All right, well, Jayden Reed is currently valued at our partners over at Dynasty Nerds, our great partners over at Dynasty Nerds, at wide receiver 15, and at Sleeper, they were at wide receiver 36. So if you picked him at wide receiver 36, you definitely won that round. For sure. I'm not kidding. You got the stank look on your face, Joel, and I'm not lying. He's that far down.
That's insane.
I know. But at the end of the year, you know, they'll update things, and I'm sure that they'll probably value him way higher than he probably actually should be. But wide receiver 36 is still way too low in our opinion. Anyone else? Anyone surprised by wide receiver 15? I think that should be more of a talking point.
Yeah, I'm surprised at wide receiver 15. I mean, he's a roller coaster, right? Especially in that Green Bay offense, where you can have Wicks be the wide receiver one of any given week. You can have Dobbs be the wide receiver one any week. And Tucker Kraft, by the way, has just decided to make plays, one-handed catches and diving catches. A 250-pound man should not be able to dive that far, you know, horizontal.
Tight end 2, Tucker Kraft.
Jesus.
And I'm not. Look at me. Tight end 2. I'm not kidding. I'm not lying at all. Everything that you ask for in a tight end, Tucker Kraft.
Insane.
Like explosive offense, franchise quarterback. He's always out there. Like Tucker Kraft is a dog. And between Jordan Love and Kyler Murray, I think I'd pick Jordan Love over Kyler right now. And so that means I'd lean Kraft over McBride. And honestly, everything that you want Tucker Kraft, or everything you wanted Dalton Kincaid to be, Tucker Kraft is. So I think I'd lean Tucker. I think I'd lean Tucker Kraft over Dalton Kincaid as well. So that just means Brock Bowers over him. But I'm seriously at tight end 2 with Tucker Kraft.
Joel, do me a favor, please. I understand that Hoov is like literally right around the corner from this daggum team and stadium. Please, I know you've got a little bit of distance. And
my mom's an owner.
Oh Jesus! No wonder you're.
yeah, I get it. I'm biased. I get it. I'm a nepo baby. It's fine. It's fine.
Joe, what's your take? What's your take on his current value, both on Dynasty Nerds and Sleeper there?
Kraft or Reed? Which one are we talking about?
Let's stick to Reed. Let's stick to Reed.
I think wide receiver 15 is about right. I was very concerned coming into the year about basically, like you talked about, anyone in this offense being able to carry a consistent load just because there's so many options. And yeah, Kraft has stepped up even above what I thought Musgrave was going to give them. So that just adds another piece. But Reed has shown that he is he's the wide receiver 1 in this offense, and everyone else is kind of picking up scraps behind. They're manufacturing touches for him. It's been lean the last couple of weeks, but I'm not concerned about that. They played a couple man heavy teams lately. He's much better against zone. He's elite against zone. He's an elite receiver against zone. He's just a really damn good receiver. He's small, but he's a really damn good receiver. He's very good at what he does. I think the wide receiver 15 is about right. That wide receiver 36 is just insane. There's no way you can name 35 better receivers than him. That's ridiculous.
No, I think that you might be a little higher on him than I am. Yes, he has like proven that he is the wide receiver 1 in Green Bay, but from what we're seeing out of Romeo Doubs and him stepping into the true 2, I don't think that we're worried about Wicks and we're worried about Watson the same way that we were coming into the year. I had them both being like very boom bust players, and from what we've seen this year, and I stand by this, and I said this at the start of the year, and I'll say it now, is that Jayden Reed is probably the most explosive or the most valuable boom bust player that they have, that we have in the NFL. And like, he could finish as wide receiver 1, or he could finish as wide receiver 25 and be a wide receiver 3, that week, or even not even be fantasy relevant that week as well. So I'm tempering my expectations, just because looking at a normal year, like there's a good chance Jayden Reed finishes in the top 10 this year. Do I think that he's a top 10 wide receiver? No, but process by elimination, he's going to start moving his way up the ranks. And I could even see next year him being way too overpriced based off of the kind of player that he is, being boom bust, but extremely talented. I just really think that Romeo Doubs is stepping into the 2 role, and his upside might be limited a little bit more now.
Jayden Reed has, depending on scoring settings, of course, but Jayden Reed this year has 2 games over 15 fantasy points. I don't know that you can consider him a wide receiver 1 on his own team, especially when you look at Romeo Doubs, who is taking over, at least in my opinion, taking over that wide receiver role, that wide receiver 1 role,
it's
just
really
these
close.
last 3 weeks.
It's really close. Like, and then just
I don't know how
speaks
close
to the player that Doubs is.
Yeah, but Hoov, how close really truly is it when you're sitting there and you're looking? If you take snap share into account, it's Romeo Doubs. If you take targets into account, it's Romeo Doubs. If you take yardage into account, it's Romeo Doubs. If you take in catches, it's Romeo Doubs. Right now, over these last 4 weeks, 4 weeks.
So would you even have him a little lower than?
No, I think 15 is a little high, but I think 32 is asinine. He's a wide receiver 2, but he's probably a back end wide receiver 2 for me.
Maybe let's look at the players that are around him to get a better idea on what we're looking at with the Reed. So 5 wide receivers currently going above Jayden Reed on Dynasty Nerds. We got Drake London at wide receiver 10, Puka Nacua at wide receiver 11, Devonta Smith at wide receiver 12, Roma Dunze at wide receiver 13, and Jalen Waddle at wide receiver 14. Are you taking Reed over any of these players currently?
I'm probably taking him over Waddle.
I'm taking Reed over Waddle.
Really?
With the caveat that Tua is just coming back.
I wouldn't. Like in Dynasty, I wouldn't. I mean, I think I would still take Jalen Waddle. Like I've said about a million times on this show, Jalen Waddle is a top 10 wide receiver, and we're just waiting for Tyreek Hill to not be Tyreek Hill to really see his full upside. So I'm with it. I think Jalen Waddle is more consistent when he has a quarterback, and I love Jalen Waddle. I can't say enough about him. So
yeah, I'm not on the Waddle train yet. It's just so hard to watch him play. If he's not the only man on the field, it's hard to watch.
And it's a longevity thing too. I mean, like, I think if it's Dynasty, like, how could you really like pass on Jalen Waddle for Reed? I can't do it. I couldn't see myself doing it in any format at all.
Well, okay, let me put it to you like this. This is why I'm going to pass on Waddle and take Reed. I think Reed is probably the better player. That's number one. But he also has outside of this year, he has a quarterback that is going to be on the field way more and more consistent than what Tua is.
Sure. That's a very fair argument. But to me, the type of players alone, I think that I have Jalen Waddle in a tier just above Jayden Reed. And that's not like a knock. That's just really a big compliment on the kind of player that I think Jalen Waddle really is. But you do make a very good point about quarterback longevity. It's just Jalen. That's even true with Dynasty. It's like we can factor in that Jalen Waddle is going to be on the Dolphins next year, but there's all real there's just as much reason to think that he won't be on the Dolphins next year that he is on the Dolphins next year, just because that's kind of how things go. And so it's an ever-changing landscape, and when it is a landscape like that, you almost kind of have to go off of who has more talent in your eyes. I guess opportunity is a factor too.
They are exactly the same size, by the way.
I think the talent. I think Jaylen Waddle is a more talented player, and that's where I'm going to lean.
Is he?
I really do, and that's not like Reed's not talented. It's just Jaylen Waddle is very special.
Let's look at receiving EPA. Waddle's at 17.5. Reed is 23.4. He's 15th in the league. That's a big difference. That's huge.
There's factors on why Jaylen Waddle
yards per reception
held back.
Same side. No, that's an entirely an individual statistic. It's not team related in any way whatsoever. He's a much better yards per reception. He's as small as Reed is, and everyone thinks he's a slot only receiver. He's averaging 16.4 yards per catch. He's 12th in the league right now.
You're asking for stats to go past an eye test, and that's one of the things that I just don't do.
I'm looking at the analytics. I'm looking at the numbers that say he's the
numbers don't
player.
change my eye test. I'm telling you,
Okay.
Jaylen Waddle. When I watch Jaylen Waddle, I'm like, that is a talented player, and it's not like Jayden Reed's not. I've seen the talent. I have all the respect in the world for Jaylen Waddle. But like you said, there's fair arguments on why you would take Reed, but I think it's so inconsistent, and I can't really make the argument that Waddle's the most consistent player because he's not. But
I think you're basing this on the assumption that Tyreek Hill's not going to be there for very long, and I don't think that's true. I think Waddle could leave there before Hill does,
and that's
he
fine.
Just signed an extension.
That's fine. Like, it's really fine with me. Is that's where I talk about with like it being an ever-changing landscape, that there's just as much reason that he's there that he's not, and when that is, you almost have to base it off of the talent. And when I look at the talent between the two guys, even though the numbers would tell me that Reed is better, the eye test is telling me that it's probably Waddle.
Who would you rather have calling plays, LaFleur or Mike McDaniel?
You know, I'll give LaFleur the respect that he deserves. I'll say LaFleur probably too.
I don't think
you weren't expecting that, were you? No, you weren't.
No. I think it's an obvious. I think if you said McDaniel, you'd be insane because I don't think McDaniel's going to last the season. I think he's going to be fired.
I'm insane, but that's besides the point. So
no, I think LaFleur is the obvious answer there. So, I think there's a very good chance that McDaniel's not the guy there, and you could have like a Belichick there next year or something. And that offense just looks completely different.
Okay, well, let's change the subject up a little bit, and let's look at the 5 wide receivers going below him. I think it'll spice it up a little bit. Wide receiver 16, Tyreek Hill. Rashee Rice, wide receiver 17. Chris Olave, wide receiver 18. DJ Moore at wide receiver 19. T. Higgins at wide receiver 20. So we just talked a lot about Jaylen Waddle at wide receiver 14. Tyreek Hill, on the other hand, an aging prospect, I think I would lean opposite, and I would say I'd take Jayden Reed over Tyreek Hill. Even though they probably have just as much upside that they could finish wide receiver 1 any given week. Right?
I would take Reed over Hill for sure. And I don't think their dynasty value is particularly close.
Would you take any of these guys over Reed currently?
No.
No, I think that's fair. I would.
If Rashee was healthy, yes, but he's not. Yeah. So yeah.
And that's where I thought I was going to stump you, is because I knew how big you were on Rashee Rice when he is healthy and when he's back. And so is it even close for you with Rashee Rice?
Yeah, it's
even with injury.
In Dynasty, if I'm competing, I want Reed. If I'm not competing,
because you got to take all the outside stuff and add it into it, right? So know he's injured, going to miss the rest of this season. There's still that likelihood that he's going to miss pieces of next season.
Mm-hmm.
Are we calculating that into it? Or are we just saying it didn't happen?
I'm not the guy that's in on Reed. I'm really worried about Reed's dynasty value in the sense that he's coming off of, he's got an injury. He might have a suspension next year on top of that. Like, it's going to be a while until he sees the field. Yeah, Rashee Rice.
Okay.
Yeah, until he sees the field again. And so, like, I'm very worried because that's more time for Xavier to really develop in this offense. And by the time that he gets back, it really could be worthy Tyreek Hill 2.0 by that time. So where does he fit in that offense? So I view Rashee Rice as like a lot more of a depreciating talent than wide receiver 17, but I know Joel was more keen on him.
And that's a sad statement to say out loud too, because as good as the talent is, it's just it's the extracurricular stuff that is gotten in the way for him.
SMU, baby, SMU. I mean, Cortland Sutton's repping right now. Cortland Sutton is repping SMU, so they got dogs at SMU, baby. Speaking of dogs, though, I think I would take T. Higgins right now over Jayden Reed, and it's very close as well. I've never been the biggest T. Higgins guy, but last year I saw a stat that it was like when T. Higgins was back, he was like wide receiver 17. I think that's the number. It was wide receiver 17. Don't quote me on it, but I think I'm right. And so, like when he's there, that's why like a lot of my bets that I've been taking this year, it's been T. Higgins related, just because I'm willing to bet on the talent that T. Higgins has as long as he's on the field, and that's his biggest issue is injury. But scared money doesn't make money. So I think I'd probably take T. Higgins over Jayden Reed.
If you're looking at it from a talent aspect, that's defensible. If you're looking at it from a dynasty asset, it's absurd because there's a large segment of the dynasty community that just wants nothing to do with T. Higgins. He's radioactive. They don't want to do anything to do with him.
And they're wrong.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. He's a non-flexible asset. Reed is a flexible asset. T. Higgins is stuck. You are stuck with him. You have to plan to be stuck with him on your team.
I don't think so. Like T. Higgins, every time that you count out T. Higgins, there's more value that just sneaks back.
Every time you count on him, he no-shows a game. That's why people don't like him.
Yeah.
He no-shows games. It's like he did this week. He gets hurt in practice. This was a smash spot for him this week, and he no-shows because he gets hurt in practice. This is the T. Higgins experience. That's why the dynasty community does not value him. So as a dynasty asset, I would take Reed 1 billion times out of 1 billion over Higgins because the community doesn't like Higgins at all.
So maybe the proper play would be to take Reed and then trade him for Higgins plus.
No, I don't want Higgins.
In my opinion, if you like Higgins,
yeah,
you're toxic for saying that. Honestly,
that's fair.
It's a fact.
Let's get to some of these other questions we got in the chat here. Joe says he traded a 25 and 26 first and a 25 fourth for Caleb in a dynasty superflex. Did he overpay?
Absolutely not.
No,
absolutely not. You are looking at
smash.
QB3 in Dynasty right now. I think I'd even put, maybe I'd put him at 2. I don't know. We'll see. I think I put him at 2.
Yeah, I think you're perfectly fine there. You should not be upset at that.
You got a top 6. You got a top 6 quarterback for less than 3 first.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to be upset about. That's not one of them.
No,
that's not one of them.
Not sure his excuse was entertaining the offers, not letting me know if he felt wishes. Okay, something completely else right there. Joe then comes back and says, I have McBride, Gray, Knox, and Parkinson on my dynasty team in a superflex tight end premium. Is that too many tight ends to hold? Use never too many tight ends and tight end premium.
Yes,
dynasty,
there is.
in my opinion. No, there is.
What's the premium?
Yes, there is. I have a tight end premium league that I never invest in first round tight ends. I drafted Dalton Kincaid at 201. I traded a bunch of assets in the second round pick for TJ Hawkinson. And then I also picked up Tucker Kraft last year off of waivers for $10. And then I also picked up Jadavian Sanders this offseason. And he's been tight end 12, 14, the last 2 weeks. So
clearly I answered the question correctly. The question is that too many tight ends to hold? The answer is no. 4 tight ends is not bad when you have a tight end premium in Dynasty. The problem you have is you have Gray, Knox, and Parkinson as the tight ends.
No, Parkinson's not bad. He's probably your 2 in that offense for sure.
With Puka and Cup both coming back, his targets are going to go to 0.
Stop it.
No, just 0.
Stop it.
The way I look at it is
he's still the 2. You act like Gray and Knox is commanding all these targets.
No. I included Gray and Knox in that same group.
Yeah, Gray and Knox, you make very valid points. Parkinson is
he's tight end 30 after the National Tight End Day and National Tight End Boxing Day. He's tight end 30. No, he's not.
The way you look at it, and Gator's completely correct on this, is the way you look at tight end premium is that allows you to start multiple tight ends. So you can roster multiple elite tight ends. It does you no good to hold on to these low end guys. Nobody wants them. Even if somebody has like Hunter Henry as their starter and is looking for a better tight end, they're not going to you and saying, "Oh, I'll take Noah Gray." It's the same thing. So yeah, you're holding on to dead assets. Nobody cares.
Gray and Knox are like, I'd try to trade them to that team that has Kelsey or has Kincaid and try to get like a pick back or a third.
Nobody wants them. Nobody wants
when they say no, you can cut.
I'm not giving you anything for Noah Gray. Not doing it. Yeah. I can go pick up Cody Parkinson, who is Noah Gray, but he's the tight end 1 on his team for off of the waiver wire. There's no sense in trading.
You preach. I don't care if it's the people. You preach that to people. I've always preached to people. I say, be careful of injuries, especially in seasons like this. This is why seasons like this, it's very valuable to have backups on your roster. So no, giving up a 4th for Noah Gray is not a bad idea, or giving up a 4th for someone like Dawson Knox, who any given week that if Dalton Kincaid's not there and the relationship that he has with Allen can shine, that's worth that 4th. That's worth that 4th. Don't listen to Gator.
You don't have to spend a 4th when you can go pick up Cody Parkinson, who is tight end 30 off the waiver wire, when you're dropping tight end 31, Noah Gray.
Is that
so? Hoov is correct. Go make the offer. Offer the Kelsey manager Gray. Offer the Kincaid manager Knox. And when they say no, then cut them.
You guys are
because
sick.
They're going to say no.
You guys are sick.
They're going to say no.
He's sick. He just agreed with you.
You guys are holding on to 4th rounders like they're worth a shit. You know, like
Dawson Knox is worth a shit in tight end premium.
In an injury scenario, yes, he's worth a shit. He's worth that 4th. Like,
no, he's not.
He's
still going to get 1 target a game, even if
my chances of hitting on a 4th rounder versus the chances of Dalton Kincaid missing 2 weeks and Dawson Knox coming in and being a startable backup in that time, that's worth that 4th. That's worth that 4th.
That presumes that Dawson Knox is something more than we've ever seen from him before. Even if he got that role, he wouldn't be a pass catcher. He wouldn't be in the pass. He would be in the pass distribution.
Is there a better likelihood that Dawson Knox makes the roster than that 4th rounder that's probably undrafted?
Oh, you mean
I'm never starting Dawson Knox ever.
Yeah.
Tyrone Tracy, is that who you're talking about?
I think Tyrone Tracy made his way into the 3rd by the end of the season. So that's where I mean, like literally a 4th rounder. Like you can't give up a 4th rounder. Come on.
Sure. Pick up Joe Flacco. He's got to drop 1. Drake May, Tua, or Wilson in a super flex.
I'm not drafting.
I'm guessing that's
honestly. Tua's my answer.
Russ,
I don't like
probably.
it.
Russ.
Yeah, Russ Wilson.
I think Tua would probably be my answer out of these. I really like Russ. I think people sleep on him, and he's actually pretty good. And then Drake May is, I don't know how anyone could doubt Drake May with what he's been doing.
We got to assume this is a dynasty, right? We got to, because this is what the show is. So in a dynasty, I think it's Wilson that you're dropping.
In a dynasty, I'm not picking up Flacco for these guys.
That's where I think it's redraft.
Okay, that's fair.
I can make the case that you drop Wilson for Flacco, but I wouldn't do it. I'm definitely not dropping Tua or May for him. So it has to be Russ if you really want Flacco.
Russ, it's got to be Tua.
Why?
Why would anyone want Tua right now? I don't know. I think the upside for each player, like Russ is actually a very consistent quarterback to have in fantasy, and like a super flex, that's your 2.
Hoov, you just sat here and argued all about 14 to 15 minutes about fucking Waddle and why Waddle was so valuable. Now you want to drop his quarterback?
That's Tua getting 2 touchdowns a game isn't going to win me weeks. Like I think
Russ is getting 1 touchdown a game,
and he's winning.
He's
the Arthur
probably
Smith
like
offense?
QB 14, and that's probably what you want like as your QB2. Honestly, you probably could write out May and Wilson and probably be fine.
Okay, let's assume again this is redraft. Wilson has on a bye week this week.
Yes.
It is a super flex. So who would you let's call it Flacco, May, Tua. Those are the three. Who are you? Who
May's probably not going to play this week, right?
Correct.
He's concussed, so he's
so now May's out because he's sitting because he's injured. Wilson is on bye, so he's got to pick up Flacco in order to have that super flex position.
I'm dropping Russ because no one's picking him up. I mean, someone would pick up Tua if you cut him. In a super flex, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at as well.
If you have that many players, I guarantee that there'd be a need for him. Full PPR.
Pick one, Dobbs or McMillan for Kyle.
I'd go Dobbs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Dobbs easily for me as well, and I'm a Buccaneer fan, so we can't trust that. Well, we can't trust the Bucs offense right now. We don't know what the role for McMillan is out of that.
Cade Otton.
Well, again, out of that Bucs offense right now, it is Cade Otton and then the running backs, because you can have McMillan, Shepard, whoever at the wide receiver role. They're all the same guy. They're going to get the same amount of targets, which isn't going to be much, and they're not. McMillan is still a rookie, so he's still learning this system. He could have had another touchdown last week if he'd have just opened his eyes. So yeah, for me, it's Dobbs easy. Yeah. Joe says Higgins has little value in his dynasty league. I think that was directed directly at Hoov.
I want to join that league. I want to join that league.
Would you trade Reed and Jacobs for Aaron Jones?
I'd rather have Jacobs than Aaron Jones, straight up.
Reed and Jacobs for Aaron Jones. No, I would not.
Keeping Reed and Jacobs here.
Yep, I'm confident in that one.
I'd rather have both those guys straight up over Aaron Jones.
For sure.
And I like Aaron Jones, but I'd rather have Reed and Jacobs straight up.
Yes, especially now that Jacobs has learned how to catch touchdown passes. Is there any worth in picking up any Texans receiver after losing Diggs?
I know I could see Dalton Schultz getting a boost at tight end. I don't know if Xavier Hutchinson, he's probably the guy that you're going to look towards in that room. Other than
probably Robert Woods.
Really?
Probably.
Yeah,
it's gross, but
it's gross. I'm not really interested, but I'm gonna tell you guys no. And then what's gonna happen is my words are gonna bite me in the ass, and the process by elimination is gonna happen, and Hutchinson or Woods is gonna creep up just by that alone. So they probably are going to be valuable.
Yeah, if it's
the only thing that gives me pause is that Noah Brown had a couple of big games last year when those other guys were hurt. So I could see it, but yeah, that's really sketchy.
Yeah, and that's why for me, if I'm going to pick up somebody, it's going to be John Mechie.
That's 4 names. That's literally 4 names that we just named that could be fantasy valuable. So yeah, one of those names is gonna produce.
They're going to split the 4 targets they get.
Don't manifest that. That's toxic. That's gross.
You got to. This is a Bobby Slowick offense. That's run, pass, run, pass. That's all they do. Run, pass.
Yeah, but
do we got anything else in the chat?
You gotta remember that Robert Woods is only 32 years old, but it's an old ass 30.
It's an old 32.
Old ass 32. Yeah. Let's get back over to Jayden Reed real quick. Let's talk about his contract status right now, Hoov.
All right. Well, first off, before we do that, I think we can skip all the sleeper stuff just because there's no way that we're going to be looking at any of the wide receivers in the 30s and contemplating whether we should take Jayden Reed over them. There's a few names of young guys that were noticeable, but we could skip all that stuff. What we have next would be we'd have a bunch of Jayden Reed trades if you want to get into those.
You don't want to talk about his contract status at age 24 in his rookie year or his rookie, huh? Okay. All right.
We don't need
he is 24. I mean, I think he's probably older than most people think he is. This is his age 24 season. So he was an old rookie coming out. So I think he's a little bit older than people think he is.
It's not really a concern for me.
I'm not concerned.
We're not worried. We don't get worried about that until 28, 27.
No, I agree
so
totally.
I'm not
just,
worried.
Just putting it out there that he was an old rookie coming out, so I think he's a little bit older. People think he's probably 22, 23. This is his age 24 season, so I think he's just older than people think.
Okay.
All right, I'll tap the first one for you, Hoov, and it is a Superflex full PPR. Jayden Reed or a 25 first and 26 second.
Joel, is this too high? Too low? What are we feeling?
Where's the first?
25.
Is it a random first, or do we know it's a contender first? If it's a contender first, I want Jayden Reed.
It's in 2025. That's all you got.
That's it.
I want Jayden Reed.
What would be the amount of first for it to be like you don't know where the picks are? Like if it's a contender, let's say 2 firsts for a contender to go after him.
Yeah, I would take 2 firsts for him for sure. But yeah, if I don't know if it's just a random first, I would rather have Jayden Reed because he's a known quantity. He's a known asset.
Jay, you think a 1 and a 2 right now can get you over the hump?
Well, I'll put it to you like this. I just traded Jayden Reed and a second for Saquon Barkley. So
Ooh, that's a good one too. I don't have that one in here. But that's a good one.
You listen. I gotta have my I gotta have a little signage. You know, little. I gotta add value to the show.
That's a good one. I like that.
I like that.
I would take this in a heartbeat, and I honestly think I would even go as low as give me just 1 first for him, because, like I said, like he's very boomer bust, and if it's a late, maybe I would probably take Jayden Reed. Just as if I was contending, I'd probably want Reed, but if I'm blowing it all up, I think I might be able to get a 2025 first if they're not a contender. So I think you're right. Probably like a 1 and a 2 if they're a contender, and then if it's just like they're a top 3 worst team, I'd probably do Jayden Reed.
Let me just ask this real quick. Would you rather have Jayden Reed or Xavier Legette?
Yeah, I'd have Reed, but
would you rather have Jayden Reed or Xavier Worthy?
I think that they were going more in 2s. Or like you're thinking more like 112. I'm thinking more
Xavier
like
Reed or Keon
108.
Cole.
I'm thinking more like 108 right now for like a Jayden Reed.
I'm thinking if I make that trade and that team wins because they've got Jayden Reed, now that makes that team that much better. And I've got the 112 in a much lower class, and I'm comparing that to the guys who are going in the back end of the first this year. I'd much rather have the known asset in Jayden Reed.
I could see even someone trading like Jayden Reed to get into the first. Like I did this with Jordan Addison. Last year, I used him to get back into the first. I think I used a 107 to get him the year before, and then I traded him for a 108 the following year in a better draft class. And then I used that 108 to move up even farther to get Malik Neighbors. So I could see someone like trading Jayden Reed and getting into the first round and then making a move like that to get an even better asset. So I'm not against Jayden Reed trading him for some first round picks. Maybe even some of these other trades that we have could be even better. So,
before we get to a couple of those, I did put a thing out this afternoon and asked for some trades that people have already done. And got a few in there, so I do want to give them some shout outs. So Chopper at war_rig traded Pickens for Reed. Would you rather have Pickens or Reed?
Pickens or Reed?
Which one will you want? Which side you want?
Pickens is probably honestly more consistent in my opinion. So I think I'd probably go Pickens in my opinion.
Reed's in a billion times better offense with a billion times better quarterback and a billion times better play caller. This is a smash. I'm taking Reed over Pickens every day and twice on Sunday.
Is it for the rest of the season? I don't know, man. In Dynasty, it's probably Reed, but I'd probably take him just to flip him. That's honestly the best advice I'm going to give out to everyone is like, if you can get Reed for the value, then do it and then flip him. And it's probably worth it.
Drew, who was in the chat a little bit ago, at Drew Arata 10, traded Rashad White and received Jayden Reed.
Smash.
Wait, repeat it one more time.
He traded Rashad White and got Jayden.
Yeah, the one we talked about earlier. Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
Yep. Ken Float over there at on Twitter. 12-team PPR Dynasty traded Reed away and got Brees Hall.
Easy. Give me Brees.
Even I would do that. Yeah.
Yeah, he says his team's not contending this year, but he surely needed a RB, and the team that he traded with absolutely needed a wide receiver and is contending.
Yeah, I'm doing that for sure.
Okay. Johnny Wolf's 12-team Superflex, start 11. Team 1, Trevor Lawrence, Jayden Reed, and DeAndre Swift. Team 2, Jaden Daniels. Which side are you on? T-Law, Reed, Swift, Jaden Daniels.
Daniels.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just go with Daniels.
All right. Here's one for you, Hoov. Jamie Prague traded Reed for T. Higgins and a 25 first. He's guesstimating that 25 first is mid.
Okay, I'll take Higgins in the first.
I knew you would.
Yeah, even I have to take that deal. Yeah, that's too much value.
I got to give King Breeze 88 or 877 over there. He sent this to me and he's like, check out this team. I just traded this. And he sent me the screenshot of him doing this. He traded Justice Hill, T. Higgins, and Tyler Algier. What he received, CMC, David Montgomery, and Jayden Reed.
You got the 3 best players in a 6-player deal.
I had to bring it up because I said I have to bring this up on the show. So
That's crazy.
That's insane.
Congrats on that one, right?
Yeah,
That's collusion.
Well
That's collusion right there.
100%. No, good
that's
job.
like 8 teams in that league are going. What the fuck?
Oh, I'd be so mad. I'd be like, I'm most of the time that I'm not like people need to get involved with trades, but that's when I'd be like, hey, let's fix this.
Yeah,
okay.
We need to look at that. Yeah.
Yep. Here we go. Who full PPR? Jayden Reed and a 25 first, or Nico Collins and a 25 third.
This is you. This is all you, babe.
That's interesting.
I know.
That's close.
I got you.
Wow, yeah, that's
you.
tough.
I knew this was gonna be a good one too. When I was typing these up, I was like, I'm cooking.
That's a nice deal. Yeah,
I honestly
like
think
that.
it truly comes down to where that first is, because I would take Nico over Reed, of course.
Yeah.
But if that is a 1-4, 1-5, I mean, it might be worth taking Reed in that first.
I think I'm gonna take Reed in the first, and it's that first is just calling me. Really, I don't know why this deal is calling me. I probably should take Nico Collins, but Reed in the first, that seems a lot really valuable in my opinion.
That's a juicy deal. I like that. I would probably take Collins, but yeah, I think that's a really good deal.
Hell yeah! All right, let's do the one.
Is that one that you currently are sitting on?
I'm about to sit on that. Call me Mother Hoov. I'll be sitting on those eggs for sure.
Thank you, Peyton.
Let's do the one before. All right. Jayden Reed or T. Higgins in a second. We just talked about first. Let's talk about second.
It's fair.
This is probably more even than the first. It's not as much of a smash, but I think I'm gonna take. I'll still take Higgins in the second here.
Yeah, I think I'm taking.
I want the Reed side.
Yeah.
I can do something with that. Higgins is just a stranded asset.
It's crazy. You guys are Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny over here. All right. Let's do another one. Full PPR, Jayden Reed or Tank Dell and Romeo Dobbs. So this is what we're talking about. Like,
well, I mean, you're getting the automatic upgrade from wide receiver 2 on his own team to wide receiver 1 on his own team, and you're adding Tank Dell.
If you think that, there's a lot of people that think he's still 2. I think he's 2.
I mean, this comes down to roster construction for me. It's like if you've got too many guys and you can't start them all and you just want to consolidate Dell and Dobbs into one guy, I would do it. If this is like a start 11 or something like that and you need guys to fill out your roster, then I'd be fine with the Dell and Dobbs side.
Man, that's crazy. I really thought that this was going to be the one that you guys were going to be like, both of these guys are like pretty close to being Reed's value, and here you are saying it's like you got to combine this value to get close to Reed, and it's like Dell alone last year, yeah, he underperformed with Diggs and Collins in the room, but I don't know how long Diggs is going to be in Houston for. Yeah, Collins is the one, but I'm not out on Tank Dell as a dynasty asset. I'm disappointed, but I'm not out. And then Dobbs, like Gator was talking about, it's very close. And even if you wanted to say in his favor that Dobbs is turning into the one, like this should be Dell and Dobbs by a mile, but it's not. You're still muted, buddy.
I don't understand why when I should be able to hit the mute button, and then when I start talking, it should unmute, right? That's why automatic do that. No,
come on, technology.
Yeah, no. For me, I mean, it's Dell and Dobbs. For me, it's easy on this one.
Yeah,
but
I'm
I
really
do
surprised.
understand exactly what Joel's saying there. If you're like, I've got a league that is I can only have active roster, whether it's bench and playing 6 wide receivers. So trying to do that and condense it down. Okay, you might be on the Jayden Reed side here, but as far as value goes, to me, it's Romeo Dobbs and Tank Dell over Jayden Reed on this one.
Absolutely. All right, next one. Full PPR, Jayden Reed or Xavier Worthy in a 25-second. Joel.
I will never not think that Xavier Worthy is just a gadget guy. So yeah, I mean, they're going out and getting DeAndre Hopkins when they could let him be the wide receiver one. So they do not see him as a wide receiver one. So yeah, this is Reed.
Not ready.
How much more ready does he need to be? They do not think of him. They do not think of him as anything more than a gadget guy, and he's never been used. He hasn't been used as anything more than a gadget guy. He doesn't get a lot of targets. He's going to be extremely boomer bust. So
I'm going to do the Worthy in second side just to spite Joel at this point.
That's fine. I get it.
I was probably leaning Reed, but I think I'm going to do it just to spite him now. Don't doubt Worthy. Calling him Inspector Gadget. Go watch it on Disney Plus. Why don't you?
Hoov, let's get two more of these. I let you pick out whichever two you want to do out of these next couple ones. We'll get to those, and then if there's any other chat questions, and then we'll get the heck out of here.
Hell yeah. Okay. Let's do. I got the two. These are I knew I'm going to get Joel with these. Full PPR, Jayden Reed, a 2025 first, and a 2026 second, or Marvin Harrison Jr.
It's Marv.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Now, give me the picks. The questions around Marv, both with what's going on over there in Phoenix is. I'm not saying I'm out, but I'm extra cautious right now on Marvin.
Thank you. And that's all I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear that narrative, and I wanted to hear someone with that narrative, because I knew that either you're still locked in step by step with Harrison, or you're
to be fair, I wasn't as in as most people are on Marvin Harrison. I was always on the Malik Neighbors side of should have been wide receiver one in the class.
Wow. I mean, no disrespect to Neighbors, but I just never could see a scenario where that actually transpired.
Take the name off the back of the jersey and watch these two play, and you tell me which one's the better player.
Yeah, no, that's fair. In the NFL, there's definitely been a difference between the two. But man, this is that's a hard deal to pass on Marvin Harrison Jr.
But you're absolutely.
But it is a lot. It is a lot to give up.
Absolutely paying a premium for a player that hasn't produced.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you go back to draft day, there was no way you were getting whatever pick it took to get Harrison for a 25 first Reed and a 26 second.
That wasn't by any redraft.
That is fair. All right.
So and I haven't seen anything to make me think that Harrison is not going to eventually be a very good player.
Okay. All right, you ready? This is a really good one. I'm really proud of myself for this one. Super flex, full PPR, Jayden Reed and Jordan Love, or Justin Jefferson and JJ McCarthy.
Come on, dude.
What do you mean? Like, there's such a big difference between Justin Jefferson and value. Like, honestly, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Love are probably the same value, in my opinion.
Community wise, sure. I don't think they're close. I think the quarterback is worth way more than an elite quarterback is worth way more than anyone else. So
who's to say JJ McCarthy's not? We just saw what Sam Darnold is doing with this offense.
Fair.
I agree. I think McCarthy's going to be good in this offense. But I know that Jordan Love is elite in his offense. So yeah, give me that side easy.
Jay, you with
I so bad want to go Justin Jefferson
I
right
know.
here.
If you're not contending, this is a great deal.
Here's the thing, though, is it doesn't even matter what the value is of JJ McCarthy. You're getting wide receiver 2 at worst. You can flip either JJ or JJ and gain extra assets if you're not contending. Right? We just talked about Jayden Reed and how hard it is just to get a first for Jayden Reed. Yes, we can do that with Jordan Love. Fine, whatever. But we know for a fact we're getting at least, at minimum, a first and a second, and probably 2 first for Justin Jefferson, if not more.
3
in Dynasty. Correct. You're not
3 for both for Justin Jefferson and Jordan Love, in my opinion. And it's probably a 1 for both Reed and 1 and a 2 for Reed and McCarthy.
That's the question, though, right? But Jayden Reed is wide receiver, whatever, 15 to 30, whatever, wherever the other manager fits him in. Whereas JJ McCarthy, is going to be he's a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
32 teams, you've got to have one of them that are starting on a regular basis. You're going to get a first for JJ McCarthy. Question is, can you get a first for Reed?
What if his ceiling is Baker Mayfield?
If it's Baker Mayfield 10 right now,
Jesus
Baker
Christ.
Mayfield looks like a top 10 quarterback.
What if his dynasty value ceiling is Baker Mayfield? Let's put it that way.
And I got a long ways to go before I but I'll pay.
We don't know. We know that Jordan Love is a top 5 dynasty quarterback. We don't know what JJ McCarthy is. I would argue his ceiling is probably around Brock Purdy-ish value-wise.
That's fine with me.
But we don't know. Yeah, and that would be fine if I knew that was the case.
I think in Superflex, it matters. At 1 QB, I think
in 1 QB, this is Jefferson easy. Yeah, it's Jefferson. But in Superflex, the value of the elite quarterback here.
Just because of what we've seen so far with Sam Darnold, like, how could anyone be out on JJ McCarthy right now? I don't get it. Unless Aaron Rodgers goes full Brett Favre and ends up in Minnesota next year, that's the only way that this trade doesn't pay off.
That's not happening. You think O'Connell
don't
wants
say
anything
that.
to do with
Don't
Aaron
say
Rodgers?
it.
Stop it. That's Hoov. Here, hang on 1 second. Joel, hang on. We're going to do this. We're going to finish this show. That was absolutely asinine. You put that juju out here. Stop it. Stop it now.
And just so no one thinks I'm being a homer, if you swap in like Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert for the Jordan Love side, I'm still taking that side.
Jiminy Christmas. Hoov breaking up Brett Favre. Oh my God. Aaron Rodgers goes to Minnesota. Jesus. Let me just.
My God. I'm a brain aneurysm on the show tonight.
Somebody absolutely hates. He's going to follow every freaking footstep. 2 questions in the chat. Let's get to these and then we will get the hell out of here. Would you trade DJ Moore and Reed for DK rest of season Blue Jays?
No.
Start with you, Joel.
No, I'd rather have the two valuable assets, especially with DK hurt.
Where are you at on that?
No, I'm not doing that.
All right.
Brendan, that was so funny.
Brendan says Brees or Reed, Swift, and a late 25 first.
Mom PPR. What's mom PPR? That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah. What is mom PPR?
I think
no. So it's standard league.
In standard league, Reed loses a lot of value. I mean, he's still a touchdown producer, but yeah, in a standard league, I want Brees.
Hanging on the Brees.
Hanging
on to Brees.
Sorry, I'm still laughing. I'm trying to think of a mom joke, and I'm still laughing about cutting out the show. That's so funny.
Yeah, I think the answer is Brees right there. For the standard.
Oh, here's a mess. I look like shit.
Good.
Let's wrap
Lord.
this thing up,
Yeah,
guys.
let's get
I
the
got
hell
an
out of here.
image to obtain.
Don't forget, you can check out Hoov over there on YouTube at Hoov TV. You can check out myself at Fantasy J77. And the reason I bring us two up right away is because we are always putting stuff out there that we are betting on with Underdog. And you can use our sister site's code, WOFF, to claim your free pick and first-time deposit up to $1,000 in bonus cash. And you can tell Hoov, you can tell myself, you can tell us where the hell we're going wrong. And, 99% of the time, Hoov is wrong. And
Amen to that. Amen to that.
And we do it again next week. But we do want to thank everybody tonight for watching. You can follow the normal cast. Dusty is over there at FF Dusty Dog on Twitter, Hoov at HoovTube, Joel at the Joel Wirth. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, hit that like button. Club Fantasy FFL, Women of Fantasy Football at Women of _FF. Man, we got a shit ton of shows going on right now.
You said Hoov TV. I'm sorry, that's
Hoov?
gonna run through my mind. You said
Hoov
Hoov TV earlier, and
TV.
and the only reason why I point that out is because the first person that ever called me Hoov TV was Ryan Hollins,
Oh.
and I that just stuck in my head. Like, he addressed me and he said Hoov TV. I'm like, if I ever start a reality show, I think I might have to coin that. That's great.
Well, I want my royalties when it's
You gotta share them.
Yeah, our show schedule for the week goes like this. Tomorrow or this morning, you saw Wiretap with Ryan and Josh, the Waiver Wire show. Tuesday nights, Trade Block with Dusty, Joel, and Hoov, the Dynasty Trade Show. Tomorrow, 8 p.m., the flagship show, No Pun Intended, with Joe, Josh, and Ryan going over the weekly preview. This week, week 9. Wednesday is at 9:30. Cleat Dreams, the weekly preview for the Women of Fantasy Football podcast with Kelly and Renee. Thursday nights, Oh Captain, My Captain. Thursday morning, Oh Captain, My Captain. Josh and Austin run through the Thursday night DFS showdown. And then Thursday night, the Sneaky Flex Girls with Wendy. Get Rowan and Macy going over start sits. Thursday night as well, I guess. Dynasty After Party. That will be, we're gonna skip this week, Joel, but that's gonna be me.
Special new guest.
Yeah.
Special new host.
Yeah, we got a special new host, and we got a ghost. We got a ghost.
Here's the
ghost.
Friday morning, DFS Academy with Ryan and Austin, a DFS cash game and GPP preview. And then, of course, the start sit different day, Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Josh and Joe answering all of your start sit questions. And then my other show on Monday mornings, Monday's Anxiety, where we recap all of the chaos that happens in fantasy football from the prior week. That is at 11 a.m. Fellas, Holy shit. That is a lot of shows. I want to thank both of y'all for allowing me to sit in here and hold down Dusty's seat for you. Any parting words for the fine people?
You did absolutely great, Dustin. Don't worry, you got job security when you come back. So you'll be back next week. And next week we have a great special episode for you. We wanted to make sure that we went through all the players that we talked about from week one until now. Maybe we'll talk a little bit less about Jayden Reed since it's such a fresh topic, but we wanted to make sure that we're going to go through all the players that we talked about and make sure we update our takes for the viewers on there. These we're going to talk about Mark Andrews, Rashad White. We're going to talk about Trevor Lawrence. We're going to talk about Devonta Smith. We're going to talk about all these players that we broke down for you. But if you listened to our advice throughout the season, you listened to our advice tonight about Jayden Reed, then that means you probably are in fantasy contention. You're looking for a champion. You're looking for a championship belt. Well, we got you covered with our second partners here at Club Fantasy, and that's TrophySmack. If you guys are looking for a championship ring or a belt to gloat for your team, for your league mates, make sure you guys head over to TrophySmack.com/WAF and start shopping. We got rings. Joel's got a big, beautiful belt right next to him. Look at that. Whip that thing out, baby. There you go.
Whoa.
Look right in front of the camera. Beautiful. So make sure you guys head over to TrophySmack.com/WAF and start shopping and support our great partners, Women of Fantasy Football, and our partners, TrophySmack, as well. But that's it. That's all I got this
We
week
got
for you.
one last one from Twitch here. Should I trade Baker and Evans for Hurts and Flowers? 4-4. He has CD, DK, D-Hop are his wide receivers. Brees, JT, Aaron Jones are his running backs.
Baker and Evans are going to win you the championship, baby.
You're 4-4. Go win now. Get Hurts and Flowers.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Baker and Evans here. Evans comes back after the bye week in week 12. That's where your championship is. Flowers is dust. Flowers was dust before Deontay Johnson got there for me. Hurts, I understand, is the QB1 on the week last week, but he's inconsistent at best. Especially now that Saquon's there taking the true touchdowns away from him. It's Baker and Evans. As soon as they get back together, that ship is sailing.
Yeah, take that, Joel. Right.
All right, so for Hoov, for Joel, I am Gator. We are out. We will see y'all, or they will see y'all next